Alright, hello YouTube and welcome to today's Gems of War video. In this video I have for you my scouting report for Darkstone Week, which begins on March 18th, 2024. If you're like me, the first thing you think about when you think Darkstone is... Where's Darkstone again? Fear not. Right on that map I have Darkstone highlighted near the southeast corner, just north by northeast of Bright Forest. So that's where it is, for those who can't remember. And maybe by pointing this out, I'll remember next time. Anyway, so the most important thing, Stone, is it is one of the four kingdoms I like to call the Magic Squared Kingdom. That's because you use magic deeds and magic books to level it up past level 10, and it actually gives you a magic skill bonus. That's good. There's three other kingdoms that do the same thing. Those are Blighted Lands, Karakoth, and Silverglade. So I bet you're wondering, of those four, which is the most important one? Take from level 15 all the way up to that most expensive level 20. Should it be this kingdom? Should it be one of the other three? Well, to that I would say, kind of got to look at a bunch of different things. Mostly you're going to be looking at the factions. Because I got the All-Seeing Eye faction done, which is the one that goes with Darkstone. And I got the faction done for Silverglade. Those I thought were particularly easy. From what I understand, Dorgroth, which is Karakoth's faction, is also pretty easy, but I could tell just by looking at things that the Blighted Lands Fell Roost faction was going to be a nightmare. And so that's why I got Blighted Lands to level 20 before I did anything else with purple. So, but if you like Darkstone, if you like having Darkstone teams and you want to get those Darkstone teams to their highest level boost, then Darkstone could be something worth looking at. It is primarily a human kingdom, though you'll see a good amount of demons as well. Its arcane trait stone is the skull trait stone, purple and brown. So you won't be able to get this from exploring Darkstone because of Underinspire, but you'll still be able to get from Draxum, which is the easier explore anyway, so shouldn't be a problem. But now we get to the other reason why you might consider getting Darkstone to level 20. That is because of all of the Magic Squared Kingdoms. After we start Darkstone Week, the maximum power will go from power level 29 to power level 30, which is the maximum, which means you can get all the magic boosts from this and all the magic boosts from this. So keep that in mind. If you don't think that you need the boost for Fell Roost through Blighted Lands, you can get all of the magic points from Darkstone and go that way. But yeah, Blighted Lands, its maximum power is 28, so it doesn't have that much far to go to get to 30. So, all right, now that we've covered that, let's cover the core 4 and 4 more. I did get a comment off camera, or not even in the comments section of my YouTube videos, that that I should put the core 4 in the order that they appear in the epic trials, which I can do, at least in the order that I used them in. I had to kind of go through some of my notes to figure out what core I used, because I can't see my teams in between Darkstone weeks, unfortunately, but I was able to, once I saw what 4 they were, I was like, oh yeah, this is how I did it. So let's go through the core 4, one after another. And starting off with the Anointed One. Anointed One, Epic Warrior. You're going to use, in the Epic Trials, you're going to use this pretty much as a tank. He can get a lot of skull damage done because he gains attack and life every time you use a skill. Transforms green to red, which isn't going to hurt anything in the Epic Trials. Boost the effect. Starts with 50% mana, gains 1 attack for taking damage. Like I said, you're just going to use this as a tank, and that's pretty much how you're going to use them otherwise. So really good troop to get maxed out. Even a good troop to get all the medals for, if you want to go that, if you got the medals to spend. Next, we have probably going to be your MVP for the Epic Trials, Magnus. Magnus does a certain amount of damage to all enemies, boosted by diseased and poisoned enemies at a boost ratio of ×2. And then he diseases and poisons all enemies. So this is actually going to do quite a bit of damage. So if you are playing this in Epic Trials, you want to get your Medals of Nisha out there so he's doing as much damage as he possibly can to all the enemies, because you're going to need him to get stuff done in short order, because some of the enemies on the other side are going to be targeting your bottom two troops, so you need these two to still be up enough for him to do the damage he needs to get done. And speaking of the other two troops, these aren't going to factor too much into your Epic Trials, but we'll go through them one at a time. We've got the Blind Guardian, Ultra Rare Warlock. The reason why he doesn't particularly work in this particular team is because he drains up to 10 mana from an enemy and explodes 1 gem for each mana drained. 3 of the troops on the other side in the Epic Trials have Stealthy, so he's only going to be able to target Dimatraxia and until Dimatraxia is done. And since you're going to be mostly doing damage to all enemies kind of evenly across, by the time Dimatraxia goes down, they'll all be going down. So yeah, it's not, it can be this can be very useful in other teams, just not this particular one. And Dark Master does a certain amount of damage to an enemy, summons a Thrall, which I'll talk about in just a little bit. The enemy dies, gives 2 attack to all allies. Overall, not a great troop, but it is a rare War Master, so you can get this troop from the gold chests. It's just not going to be one I think will do a lot for you. And it doesn't do well on the Epic Trials either. So you're basically just putting Blind Guardian and Dark Master at the back end, so that the ones that are attacking your 2 last troops and then your weakest troops after they get attacked initially, they'll go down first, and then you've got these 2. The other good thing about these 2 is they do not mana block each other. So Anointed One can go first. Magnus has free use of all the purple and brown. You also get a single brown and single purple from the Darkstone banner, and you can just kind of go from there. But it is a bit of an hard Epic Trial from time to time. It just depends on how lucky you are. So my 4 more, I'm going to start with the Thrall, because why not? It's only a common, but it's a generator, destroys a lot of gems, and takes 2 damage. Damage is not good, but if there's 13 or more red gems after you blow up the entire board, you gain an extra turn. So you get an extra turn every once in a while, but this is pretty much a mana generator. It's purple, doesn't use a lot of mana itself, and it gains bonus purple mana from purple gem matches, which makes it even easier for him to get all of his purple mana back, even if he's in the top of the lineup, which often he's not. I do see this this troop used a lot in teams that require purple restrictions. So this is a really good one to get. Of course, being common, you'll see them in the gold chests. So you'll get ascended in short order as long as you're using them. So my second of the four more is going to be a little bit of a surprise for some of you. It's going to be the Umbraxus, which is a epic striker. The most important thing of this is that he is a God Slayer. And you may want this God Slayer available to you for the guild event that's going to be going on during Darkstone week. He does a certain amount of damage to an enemy. If it is a boss, which you'll need for invasions, he does 3 times more damage based on his ascensions. Should be mythic, so he gets that 5 times bonus. And then he silences adjacent enemies, which can be useful even if he's not targeting the boss itself. If the boss is already down, you can basically target the second enemy, and then it silences the first and third enemies. But it is a good way of having. I like it. It's a little bit. I like this strategy of having the old God Slayer and the new God Slayer together, rather than having 2 copies of the same God Slayer that you had to spend Ascension Orbs or lots and lots of gems. And now I've got an interesting choice for you. Legendary Carmina, or Legendary War Master Carmina. This is perhaps a good troop to combine with the Anointed One, because when she does her spell, she creates 4 skulls, and 4 Doom Skulls, and 4 Uber Doom Skulls. And if an enemy is death marked, she creates 1 more of each skull. And she death marks an enemy whenever an enemy dies. So if you can get a lot of death marks on the other side, you cast this one, you're going to have a lot of skulls on populating the board. The only problem is if this misses, it will be an epic fail for you, because the other side will just totally obliterate you with all the skulls you just created. But the reason I like her with the Anointed One is if you have the Anointed One first and her second, or somewhere else down the line, you can basically have the Anointed One buff up an attack, and then just have her create a lot of skulls for him to do uber amounts of damage. Now, he will block her in red, but it's still worth it. It does work. I've tried it myself. So, but I think it's a good idea. So as for the mythics, we have, as far as the ones you'll find in the Soul Forge from time to time, you have 3 choices, plus the Cosmic Dragon, which I'm not going to talk about. In this video, I'm going to talk about what I think is the best mythic to go for if you're looking for a mythic for Darkstone, just for power reasons, and that is the Consort of Darkness. And this spell is actually is pretty good. It's even better than it looks, in my opinion. Its traits are okay. Summons a dark storm at the start of battle, which will give you purple. Steals 6 life from the first enemy whenever purple gems are matched, which is nice. But Dark Submission gives you a certain percent chance, which appears to be magic +1, to slay an enemy. That is an instant kill on whatever enemy that you pick. If the enemy dies, you create 12 skulls. If the enemy doesn't die, you eliminate 10 from all their skills. So you basically cast this on whatever the first enemy is. If it dies, great. If not, you reduce its attack, reduce its magic, and so forth. This is particularly good, especially if you can get something else in your team that can boost magic, because the higher the magic goes up, the higher that percent chance goes up, and yeah, you can just instant kill to your heart's content. So that's the one I would recommend. I kind of thought about the Possessed King. I think this would be a very, very close second. The one thing I like about the Possessed King is that it is a human troop, is demon human, so it becomes someone you can use in the class trials. However, the Possessed King really does better with demon teams than he does with human teams, and of the Darkstone troops that are available to you, he's the only one that can be both demon and human. Technically, your hero in the class trial can be a demon, so that would give him 2. But yeah, I just don't think that you're going to be able to get much use of him in the class trials. And nobody else is human anyways, as far as the mythics, so you can go for Mother of Darkness. I don't think between those three it's really kind of close either way, so there's really not there's not much you can do as far as going wrong. As long as you get at least the ones you need, get your power level to where it needs to go. All right, let's move on to the weapons. There are 15 weapons to look at in Darkstone, which is already enough to get you to power level 30. These weapons are, I don't know. I don't really like these weapons as a whole. Some of these weapons are good. Probably the best one available at this moment is the Screaming Tome. Screaming Tome does a certain amount of damage to an enemy boosted by Darkstone allies. Creates blue and purple gems for each Darkstone ally, 6 of each. And its upgrades are good. You got the 10% chance to transform the first enemy into a toad, which I've never actually seen happen in all the times I've used a Screaming Tome, but it could happen. You never know. But we'll probably get another weapon that goes with Invasion. They'll be just as good as this one. So if you don't have this one, or if you have this one and you're lamenting that this is the best that the legendary weapons have to offer, not to worry. There'll be now there is something to be said for the Black Manacles, of course. Black Manacles does damage to all enemies and a 20% chance to devour a random enemy. And yeah, it can make a hard battle easier, but it just means you got to hit that 20% chance. If you don't hit that 20% chance, this just does damage to all enemies, and there's other weapons that will do better than that, to be honest. Now, when it comes to the faction weapon, you probably are looking at the Chalice of Eyes and the Jar of Eyes, which each summon an all-seeing eye troop, which is the faction for Darkstone. So, trivia question: which one of these is the real faction weapon? Chalice of Eyes or the Jar of Eyes? Jar of Eyes, of course. Why wouldn't it be? Explodes a bunch of brown gems, summons an all-seeing eye troop, somehow it creates an ice storm, and it's kind of a fun weapon, I guess. You'll only use this once you've actually leveled up all of your all-seeing eye troops. Of course, you can get the Chalice of Eyes from the Soul Forge during Darkstone Week, which cleanses and gives 42 life to all allies, then summons the troop. It has enchanting, which is one of my favorite upgrades, so it's up to you between these two if you're going to use one of these. I think I would tend to use the Chalice more than the Jar because of the enchanting, but honestly, there's better weapons out there, even in Darkstone, and one of those, of course, is the class weapon. Bet some of you are waiting for me to talk about this one. Essence of Evil inflicts every negative status and effect on one enemy of your choice, explodes 47 gems of their mana color, and it can also transform the first enemy into a giant toad. Generally, you don't want that to happen, because if that happens, that can... I don't know if it... I don't think... That's never happened to me in all the times I've used Essence of Evil. And I'm not sure if it does happen, does that mean that you inflict all the negative status effects on that enemy that turns into a giant toad that doesn't have any of the status effect? I don't know. I've never seen it done before. Maybe you've seen it done before. But Essence of Evil is a pretty popular weapon. You see it all the time in Guild Wars and PvP. So when you see it that often, you know it's good. All right. Finally, let's talk about the doomed weapons. There are 2 of them currently from Darkstone. First one is one that we've seen not too long ago in the Tower of Doom. The Doomed Ring gives 2 magic to all allies, +1 per tempering level, and armor to purple allies. If the enemy has a Doom, gains 10 attack. I unlocked this like everyone else who played that Tower of Doom, but I haven't upgraded it yet. But I see enchanting, which is good. I see some other upgrades that are okay. I think that the rings get a bit of a bad rep. Getting a lot of magic to all your allies is actually pretty strong. I don't think it was working too well when you are playing in the Tower of Doom and all of your team has to use the same mana color. But you can take this ring and put it on a team that doesn't use purple. And then you can basically just stack, if this is leveled up all the way, or tempered all the way, you can put 12 magic on all allies. Think about the Consort of Darkness that we just talked about. 12 magic on the Consort of Darkness is 12% more of a chance that he's going to insta-kill someone, which can be quite useful. It might not be this ring that will get the job done. You may want to use a ring that's not one of his colors. Anyway, finally we have the Doomed Runestones, which gives life to all allies, ... This is not a particularly useful weapon, but it's probably most useful when you have all of the enemies that have to use the same color as this weapon. And even then, you'll probably use something else. So it's not absolutely necessary. And if you can get all the weapons you need for Darkstone without using this one, so much the better. All right, time to talk about Plague Lord. And Plague Lord. There you go. So, Plague Lord class, the traits are okay, I suppose. Basically, it's a good purple or brown mana class. It's a human class, which means you can use it for teams that are going to use the human bonus. It's not a must-have class, but probably at least in the top half. At least the top half. I think that's as far as I'm willing to go with this one. Worth getting to level 1. Anyway, now we have the pets. The Kingdom bonus pet, which is the most important one, is the Trogpole. Of course, you also get the Starry Trogpole, which you'll get by completing the Epic Trials. Of the other reasonably important pets that you can have here, the Shrunken Head is the one that boosts all your human teams. The Trollodon, I think, is probably not as useful as it looks. It gives you a double times whatever team bonus for water, but it only applies in PvP and only in the Central Spire, where you have free reign to make whatever team you want. And if you have free reign to make whatever team you want, why would you make a team that every single troop has to use blue. If you do, then you'll want to just, if not, then leave it alone. And if you use Carmina, then you'll want Carmina's kitty. That gives her skill points to all of her skills. I already got this one maxed during the event where Carmina was introduced. And yeah, it's a pretty good one, but only if you're using Carmina. Then finally, the iPod is the team bonus troop. So get that one by maxing out All-Seeing Eye, which we're going to talk about next. Where is All-Seeing Eye in the underworld? Again, kind of the same general area that you would see Darkstone, maybe a little bit north. You can see it right there highlighted, just kind of northwest of Nightmare Circus. It is a green-blue restriction. I don't think it was particularly hard to get to. I thought it was going to be harder because of the Zero Dar, which can do Death Mark all kind to no end. But overall, this became a lot easier, mostly because of the Watch Mother. Watch Mother heals everyone for a certain amount of magic, boosted by green gems and skulls, then summons either an Ocularian Leech or an Ocularian. Those are these two troops right here. So basically, the top of your team just keeps going down. You use Watch Mother to replace the one that goes down. Doesn't really matter which one you have. You're just gonna just keep going and going and going. Put Zero Dar in there to try to do some damage along the sides. The third one the remaining one can be whatever you want. 2 Zero Dars probably would have worked just as well as what I did when I did Pure Faction 500. But yeah, there's a lot of options. So. And then finally, the guild event is going to be an invasion. Typically, an invasion is going to be restricted to the Kingdom of the Week. So that'll be Darkstone. That would include your weapons. So it will be fine, I think. I think that there's definitely some weapons that maybe one or two that are going to be useful, but we'll probably get another just as useful weapon as the week begins. So don't worry if you don't have a weapon that you can believe in. Of course, you can always use Essence of Evil. Doing the double God Slayer is probably going to get you through a lot of it. And that's about it. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and hopefully you are now ready for Darkstone Week. If you are, leave a like on this video. Consider subscribing to this channel and or following me on Twitch. Leave a comment below. Tell me what your favorite part of Darkstone is. Let me know if I helped you figure out where Darkstone is on the map. And I'll see you in the next video.